let's try this over again. And because I'm almost, time is of the essence, I am just going to pick up and keep it pushing because I don't know if I'm having a system outage. I don't know what's going on, but something indeed is. I don't have time to figure it out. Hopefully, I fixed it. I tried to come in like I was, it was doing two screen thing. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't stop it. So let me pick up where I left off. As you come in, please understand. I'm going to move. Okay, okay, okay. Cynthia, hey, okay. Willie Spencer, okay, okay. Let's start over. Let's start over. Let's go.
Tuesday. I'm having a happy Tuesday. I woke up and I had a shot of Baron Coleman this morning. Just like his podcast got me all fired up because he went off. He had a little Baron crash out. And it added another detail to our investigation yesterday into the planes, a detail that I had missed somehow earlier that's rather explosive.
Denise.
I will say this, I defy no stereotypes as a woman. I am not technologically gifted, so I did not know that you could drag the flight radar ADS-B coverage to the exact minute to see where that plane was, what the altitude of that plane was at any given time. So I'll explain it later for the other ladies who are like me. But first, my friends, we have been working on a particular tip for some time. We had received it a while ago regarding Erika's whereabouts on September the 10th, and at long last, we were able to confirm it in a way that is rather explosive. Where was Erika on September 10th? Well, I'll tell you. She was apparently in an unmarked building. Welcome back to Candace. All right, you guys, wake up, look alive. We are at the gates. We are at the gates. All of us. It has been, a little over 6 months, and we have not stopped the onslaught. We have kept up the energy. Someone in the comment section described the Charlie Kirk open investigation as a group project, and I love that, right? That is so true. We are all partners in this group project to figure out what actually happened on September 10th. Who was behind the killing of Charlie Kirk? Well, Baron Coleman is certainly one of the people that is in our group. His show is kind of described by some people as the after party to my show. We kind of build off of each other and the work and the investigation that we're doing. And I really love that last night he underscored really how sick and tired we all are of this obvious game of them ignoring the major inconsistencies in the Tyler Robinson story that we have pointed out, or in the Turning Point USA alibis that we have pointed out. And when they respond, they only respond to like the minor details that they can debunk that have nothing to do with anything that we've said on this show, his show. They sort of wait for somebody to make a mistake somewhere in the universe and then they pounce, right? And Baron does a very good job of describing really what that is. It's frankly a low IQ strategy of attempting to win a debate on a technicality that you're obviously losing. It's a gotcha argument. And we took this, and I want you to listen to it because I think it's really relevant. It helps you to kind of further steel yourself when it comes to the internet and what they're throwing at you. We took this from his opening statement. Here is Baron Coleman.
Imagine, for example, a simple debate on economics. The losing side might fixate on one outdated data point. They hammer it as proof of incompetence. And then they proclaim the entire case collapses. They declare victory, and they never address the macro, the larger construct of the argument. They don't address things like expert consensus or even their own contradiction. And viewers, if they're tuned out or maybe deeply or emotionally invested in seeing the losing side win, they're able to walk away thinking the gotcha side won, even if the other side very much had the upper hand. This is bad faith. This is bad faith debating. If not outright intellectual dishonesty. It overlaps with several logical fallacies. Thank you, Joe. Your book had a large part in helping put this together. It overlaps with several logical fallacies, but it isn't neatly packed into any one of them. It resembles quibbling where one side focuses on some trivial objection to derail the main point, or even cherry picking where you highlight one favorable detail and you ignore the rest. But the twist here is the premature declaration of victory, and it treats that isolated incident as a checkmate. And there's this really rookie debate tactic. It's overused and frankly very rookie. It's known as Gish Gallop. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's where you flood the other side with so many details and arguments that it just overwhelms the other side. It's like that, but it's different in that the gotcha victory is surgical. It's not a broadcasted approach. It's a very surgical strike. One precise strike and then you retreat.
I mean, sure, he's talking about people that are intellectual cowards, and to be clear, that is exactly what angered me when all of the frauds decided to pounce on the audio that was released, not by me, not by Baron Coleman, but somebody released it, claimed it was Erika Kirk, and was it Erika Kirk? No. Was the person who released that wrong? Yes, extraordinarily so. But they then tried to extrapolate that error to mean that the broader picture, that all of the other curious aspects of the case which we have presented, okay, they can now safely be ignored. Everything else can be summarily debunked because someone unrelated to the investigation got something wrong. It's just so cheap and it's so performative. And yes, it is only done because they are losing. And I then loved the energy coming from Baron Coleman. Last night I watched it this morning, which I think perfectly encapsulates the emotion of how we all feel right now. So take it away, Baron.
And I'm sick and tired of the constant obfuscation and lies. And when we raise real questions like this, ignore it. But when somebody says, you think Erika was buying a jumpsuit at Aloe? Oh my God, no. She wasn't buying a jumpsuit at Aloe. That's when you choose to come in and answer the accusations? Are you serious? That's when you come in, is when someone thinks she was buying a crop top? But I do 3 shows accusing you of leaving Santa Barbara before Charlie got shot or banged or whatever happened to him, and you're just dead silent? In my opinion.
He's so right. Let's jump back into the substance. Forget the crop top, okay? I didn't cover the crop top. Baron didn't cover the crop top. We are indeed, however, speculating with a lot of evidence which is mounting that perhaps Andrew was not on the plane that he claims he was on. We'll have more on that later. Of course, the bigger issue is that it means that Erika went on an earlier flight to Utah. Which flight? I don't know. We can't be too certain, but I do now have an explosive tidbit. Now, I have to hope that given my track record of providing you with receipt after receipt, with text message after text message, with phone log after phone log, that you are going to allow me to use this excuse. I guess maybe I have a credit here when I tell you that I simply cannot reveal to you how I came across this information. In other words, what I'm saying is that there's no way for me to protect the source. But the information is explosive. I've long explained to you that one of the things that is so odd to me is that nobody saw Erika on the day of Charlie's assassination. Nobody's come forward, at least, to say that they saw Erika on the day of the assassination in the places, the very public places that she claims to be. Point A, she says that she collapsed in a parking lot after her mother helped with her mother getting treatment. Then she collapsed in a parking lot. Curiously, no witnesses. It's a big deal. Everyone was looking for Erika Kirk on that day. Everyone, the whole world was tuning in to the assassination and realized suddenly pictures. Oh my God, he leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. That's when everybody got to learn what Erika Kirk looked like. It's just not every day. Even if you didn't know at the time, you would go, oh my gosh, now I remember. I saw a blonde collapse in a parking lot. That must have been Erika. Now that she's telling the story, it looks like Erika. I mean, I saw the nurses come out and escort her, and then what? She somehow drove her car thereafter to her apartment after having a collapse? Is that even safe? What was an ambulance called? Again, no witnesses, we don't know. And Erika doesn't like to speak about it. There's no details there. Then we know that at some point she had to have raced to the airport with an entourage which included a priest. Okay, a priest. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not every day that you see the widow of Charlie Kirk accompanied by a man in clerical robes at an airport terminal. Can we acknowledge that? It's just not every day. That would be an unusual thing that stood out to you. And I know, yes, of course, they flew private, but I promise you, there would have been more than a few witnesses. Private terminals are actually quite busy in cities like Scottsdale. That's a big hub. You're going to see a lot of action at the FBO terminals where people fly out private. No witnesses. Going through it, nobody saw this. Okay, so I was starting to get the feeling like she actually was being kept somewhere, was more private than a private terminal private. And then I happened upon some information. I said to you, I feel like if this was an operation, it was a lot took place with planes and terminals that the public didn't have access to, right? I was positing that yesterday. Well, I can tell you today, and look, I will say allegedly here, but that I happened upon some information. Erika was at the office of Hopkinson Aircrafts when she received the news that Charlie was dead. I'm going to tell you more about Hopkinson Aircrafts. Now, you'll remember that Erika told me to my face. Also, Elizabeth McCoy wrote a long post, and she confirmed this, that Erika got the news right before they flew to Provo. So Erika had a phone call with the doctor. There are different variations here, whether the decision was made to let Charlie go or whether he told her that Charlie had passed. But the point is that before she got on the plane and departed Scottsdale, she knew that Charlie was dead, okay? And this was in the presence of Hopkinson Aircraft's employees. Now, I wondered, what is that? What is Hopkinson Aircrafts? Well, it's a luxury aircraft brokerage, like where you go to buy planes. They're brokers for planes. They have locations in Canada and in Scottsdale. Okay. So I went on to Google, and I tried to find their address in Scottsdale, and it listed the address. Again, this is all public. It says 14600 North Aircraft Drive. So that started to make sense. That's an FBO, as you can see, a private terminal. And I looked and I said, wow, that's a lot that's packed into Atlantic Aviation. I have flown out of this terminal many times. I don't remember there being in Hopkinson Aircraft sales, also with Atlantic Aviation, and then also this Ross Aviation. Like, what's going on in this map? Yeah, okay, but yeah, like I told you, it's the same address as Atlantic Aviation. It's a common, busy private terminal. So I thought, okay, what must have happened here is Erika must have flown out of Atlantic Terminal, and then they happened to share a building with Hopkinson, and maybe the people that were working for Hopkinson overheard her as she got the news. I'm sure she screamed. Maybe she collapsed again, was crying. But something told me this was not a detail to ignore. Something just felt off. So I decided to look through their website, and I just thought to myself, just in general, it's like 2026, why would you waste time having an office building in this tremendously expensive location? They're not making their own aircrafts. It's just a brokerage firm. You could do this on the phone, right? Like, why? Why would you spend this money to be inside sharing this with Atlantic Aviation? It just seemed weird to me. So I then went to the team. I said, let's look at this. And similarly, they thought that it looked funny on the map, just looked weird. And at certain times, when I was trying to find Hopkinson Aircraft, it almost appeared as though there was a building that was behind Atlantic FBO, but that was separate from Atlantic FBO. So finally, I had a genius idea. I said, why don't I just send someone anonymously to contact Hopkinson, to contact Atlantic, and see what the deal is, right? Is there really an office inside of Atlantic? And remarkably, we were able to determine that Hopkinson is indeed in a building that is separate from Atlantic, but Atlantic accepts all of their mail. And the reason that Atlantic does that is because Hopkinson does not actually have its own address. It's in a building that stands alone and is separate from Atlantic FBO Terminal, where you would fly out if you were going private. And this is a brokerage firm, okay? This is aircraft brokerage. They sell planes. And they have no address. Their address, they use Atlantic address. Atlantic receives all of their packages, all of their mail, but their location is separate and it's next door. And it's kind of hidden. That's why I was having trouble locating it. I'm going to show you that. This is the building that Erika was allegedly in when she found out from the doctor that Charlie was not going to make it. I'm going to show you that. So you have Atlantic there on the right. We're now coming inward. Yep, pointing that in the mouse. We're now coming inward. It's this rather obscure building right here. Okay. Now, why would Erika be in that building? Allegedly. Why would Erika be in that building? Walk me through that. You don't know your husband is about to be shot, even though she did actually say when he got shot, I effing knew it. That was the sentence that came out of her mouth. But, you know, in a way, maybe she meant like, oh gosh, he was so scared. Like I knew something. I had a bad feeling that day. I knew it, right? How do we get there? What is Hopkinson? How do we get to Hopkinson Aircraft? Did somebody have a thought? Let's see if we can buy a plane. Why are we heading there? Why are we staging there in this obscure building of Hopkinson Aircraft, which is not known to anybody, right? How'd she get there? What is Hopkinson Aircraft? Why did it immediately feel shady to me? It felt to me like a CIA front, if I'm being honest. That's an opinion. It felt to me like this is not a real business, but it needs to present like it's a real business for some reason. And I can show you their website here. Okay? Luxury aircraft sales, premier aircraft sales, over 60 years, 3 generations of elevated expertise. The Hopkinson luxury aircraft. We can get started. I think somewhere if you click around, Skylar, we can find the family, the team, the Hopkinson difference. Now, what is the difference actually? You do jet sales. Why are you in this building? Why are you in this unmarked building? You don't have to, no one needs to come to see you to see what jets are available, because jets, of course, live wherever their owners live. So it's not like you're buying a used car and you're walking out and there's going to be a fleet of used jets somewhere. It's not a junkyard at the Scottsdale airport. What is Erika doing in that building? I would like to know. I would like to know more about the Hopkinson family in general. Actually, maybe you know something. Maybe you know this family. And you go, well, here's what they do. They really are just the difference in luxury aircraft sales. It's a data point that I think really matters, because there's something about this that feels secretive to me. All of it. It feels like Erika was being protected that day. Which leads us, by the way, to the question of Andrew Colvett, right? We were surmising that Andrew Colvett actually flew on Charlie's plane. Again, why would they all go to Scottsdale would be a question in the background. Why would Andrew need to be on Charlie's plane? Why not just fly from Santa Barbara? Maybe, and again, we are speculating here, because there was a pre-approved location where no one would see them, because you can't just wander into there, okay? No one knows it exists, that people knew to meet. They could get in and out and not be seen by anybody. Now, moving back to Andrew Colvett, like I said, we are positing that he at first flew to Scottsdale from Santa Barbara. And then he flew from Scottsdale on to Provo, Utah. 2 flights that day, and we believe that neither of those flights are the alleged much later 3:19 p.m. Mountain Standard Time flight that Erika told me that he was aboard.
Get tax expertise without hidden fees. Switch to a TurboTax expert for $150. Say bye to fees and match with a trusted expert to handle your taxes. All forms, all returns, all tax situations. $150 all in. No surprises. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax.
Okay? And I'm going to tell you why I, just like Baron Coleman, feel even more convinced that we are correct that he was not on that plane. Because I'm going to tell you some specs about this plane, which actually really matter. Now, again, I should say, Andrew has never said he was aboard this jet. Andrew himself has never said that he took the 319 Santa Barbara flight, tail number N8724A. Erika made that claim to my face. Andrew did not. Now I'm going to give these planes names. I think it's easier to remember them. This is going to be our Barbara plane for Santa Barbara. You should know that it's a Hawker Beechcraft. Somewhere we have a picture of a Hawker Beechcraft. This is simply not a plane that any person in business would describe as a massive jet, okay? Your knees will be touching in that plane. Andrew described a plane as a massive plane to me. Multiple times. He also, I think, said it publicly on the show. He had this massive plane to himself, okay? Here, again, that's the photo of it. Instantly, me to go, this isn't the plane we're looking for. That actually makes it look bigger in the air. This is not the plane that we are looking for. You do not describe that plane as a massive plane. Now, since this particular jet is actually available for charter, and since I believe this was a military operation, I do not believe the planes that they would have used would have just been available for charter. That makes me even more, I'm more likely to believe a scenario where this plane was actually the one that took his wife later to Provo. Because then you would chart, you don't care, that plane doesn't matter, right? So I thought, let me call and try to, like, not charter this plane, but ask some questions about this plane, a crucial question, actually. So I called this morning and I said, hey, does this jet have Wi-Fi? Because remember, whatever plane Andrew's on, he doesn't have Wi-Fi, right? We have now confirmed this. We have a text chain with Aubrey, who's got to be the boss that day. Nobody can do anything. Aubrey's doing everything. She's got to do everything before she gets fired. Justin jumps in on this text thread after Aubrey asks a very important question of whether or not she should confirm or deny that the email that was sent to the entire company saying that Charlie Kirk is dead. And now the media is all messaging her, and she's like, hey, like, should I confirm or deny this? And Justin jumps in on the text, and he says that it's up to Andrew, and Andrew doesn't answer. And then he says to Aubrey, you're going to have to wait until Andrew's on the ground. He says that at 4:18. The implication is obvious here. Andrew is on a plane that does not have Wi-Fi. That's why he can't answer, right? Well, that means we can rule out Barbara. We can rule out Barbara because Barbara has Wi-Fi. Again, I called this morning. The company that handles that plane charter said to me, and I quote, all of our planes have Wi-Fi. It's a big sell. You put right on the website because people want planes with Wi-Fi. So Andrew would not have been out of pocket and unable to answer if he was aboard Barbara. And it's interesting that when Andrew does come back online, he does not say that he was on a plane at this time, right? He says, my internet just came back on. Different from I'm on a plane or I just got service. I think that's how you would say it. I just got service. My internet just came back on, okay? So let's instead now examine the earlier point of that conversation and see if we can find a match. The point of the conversation where he explicitly mentions that he's on a plane. And again, I'm doing all Utah time, guys. Everything I'm saying to you is Utah time. I think it's easier to think in terms of Utah time. When Andrew explicitly mentions that he is on a plane at 3:26 p.m. Mountain Standard, right? He said specifically, sorry, on the plane, this just loaded. And he is referring to a message that was sent to him that he had not answered. That was at 1:30. Well, we can now adjust slightly his period where he was blacked. In other words, there's like the dark period of Andrew. We initially said 1:30. We can actually now say 1:47. We want to be as precise as possible, 17 minutes later, because we learned that he did answer Aubrey on a separate Telegram channel before he went dark. He answered her about the press, about Laura Ingram's show. He called her, too. Then he goes dark, and he's dark until 3:26 p.m. when he says that. Sounds like he's coming into.
That's
right?
okay, Joe.
Like
something is going on.
So here
it didn't
is
go
our
out to
calendar,
the
slightly
everybody. I don't know
for
what's
that
going on.
17-minute last correspondence. Right around that time that he's not available. Okay, you got to write this statement, and he's not available when that statement goes out. So let's see if we can find a plane that flew into Provo on that day.
Hey, it's Ashley with 4 Patriots. We're in a bit of trouble. We need to clear out some space in our warehouse.
And was coming into land at 3:26, right when he says is that I got my plane. Sorry, I was on a plane, and my messages are just starting to load. Sounds like you're landing, right? In theory, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a plane that had no Wi-Fi that suddenly began to receive signals because we know this. When your plane gets low enough, you suddenly start to receive all of your messages at once. And you guys, you won't believe it, but Charlie's plane matches that exact description. At 3:26 p.m., Charlie's plane was coming in to land at Provo. And it tells us, you can go onto the ADSB Exchange website and you can see that that plane got below 7,500 and it was just a couple of minutes from touching down in Scottsdale, precisely where I remember that Andrew was flying from. Big plane, that's a G5, and we can bring it to the exact minute. Take a second, take a look here. You can see, and we'll bring this up closer on the left-hand side. This is what this website allows you to do. We are looking at 9:10. We are looking at that time frame, which is adjusted UTC, which in the summertime is -6. And we can see that that plane gets below 7,500 feet. Okay, so if we are relying on this text thread, it would appear that Andrew Colvett took 2 flights that day. And neither of those flights were equipped with Wi-Fi. And that's why he was out of pocket. And I believe, just like Baron Coleman believes, that Andrew at first took the plane out of Santa Barbara to Scottsdale. And that's that Y-Refi plane. And that plane, I can also confirm, kind of, a little bit, but at least the facts are that when that plane, the Y-Refi plane, was available for charter back in 2020, it was not being sold as having been equipped with Wi-Fi, right? Because you want to put all the features when you're chartering a plane. Here's what we got for you. Here's what we got. Well, look at this Wi-Fi listing for the alleged Y-Refi plane that we think that Andrew took from Santa Barbara to Scottsdale. You can see on that left-hand side, they're like, hey, you've got a private belted lavatory. We can open that belt and you can go to the bathroom. We've got cabin power outlets you can charge. Here's the cabin height, 5'7", a large refreshment center. And then it says satellite phone. Satellite phone. It's not marketing Wi-Fi. So that's the best we can do. Likely that first plane did not have Wi-Fi either. Second plane, of course, would be Charlie's plane. Did that plane have Wi-Fi? The simple answer is I don't know. I don't know. Somebody might know. Somebody may have flown with Charlie on that plane. If so, please email us. It was a G5. It definitely has Wi-Fi capabilities, therefore, but I don't know, nor do I believe that Charlie would have ever used that. Because, in case you don't know this, it is exceedingly expensive to run Wi-Fi on your own plane. Expensive as in, I literally know 2 billionaires who outright own their planes that are Wi-Fi capable, and they do not use it because the costs are astronomical, and they say it's a scam, okay? It is an outright ripoff. If you own the jet, and I can state that I highly, highly, highly doubt that Charlie Kirk would have been running the Wi-Fi on the jet. It costs, just so you understand, $300,000 just to install Wi-Fi aboard a jet. And then you're looking at an approximate $30,000 to $50,000 a month to run it. We don't know. We cannot state that definitively. What we can state definitively is that Andrew and Erika could just respond. Not to the crop top, but Andrew could assert on the show that I was definitively on the Barbara plane. The Barbara plane with Wi-Fi. I just didn't want to text. I just wanted Aubrey to do all the work. That's the plane I was on. Andrew could stop focusing on Joe Kent, and he could answer whether or not he flew in with his wife on the Barbara plane. And then Erika could chime in. I don't know why I didn't remember his wife. That's so weird. I don't know. So I know. She was just right behind him. We were hugging. I was just lost in the sauce, lost in the hug. Such a great hug. I didn't know. But now I remember. That seems easy enough, right? Are we asking for too much to get some answers here? Because we're presenting a lot of evidence. We've got text messages. We're telling you that she was in the Hopkinson aircraft building, unmarked thingamajigger. Could they maybe stop instead trying to tell us and getting angry about how much he loves Shabbat Shaloming and respond to what we're presenting on the show? I will say, and this is interesting, and I'm going to get to this after the break, that Andrew Colvett does have one possible alibi that day, which could, if we can prove it is true, it would mean that he was actually in Santa Barbara during the time that our Y-Refi plane flew out to Scottsdale from Santa Barbara. I'm going to tell you about that potential alibi and why I am moderately suspicious of it when we get back from a brief break. All right, you guys, you see the headlines, you read the stories, and then the impact shows up in your own numbers. Balance is rising and fees piling up. Minimum payments are designed to stretch debt out for years. That's why you need to check out PDS Debt. Whether you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation, and they craft a personalized plan that's designed just for you. There's no minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, which is in your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. It boasts Candace at checkout. So something of interest that I learned while watching Baron's show, I don't know how I missed it, is that Andrew does have just one thing that could serve as an alibi on September 10th. It would mean he was not on our Y refi plane from Santa Barbara to Scottsdale. A strong alibi it would be if it was true. It would make it, like I said, impossible. And that's the fact that Andrew hosted the first hour of the Charlie Kirk live show on September 10th, all right? Here is a clip of him explaining that to a New York Times reporter named Ross Duthaw. He reported how him subbing for Charlie came about. Now, note, just a little side point here, he's going to effectively admit that Charlie couldn't stand Ben Shapiro and was annoyed that he had to interview him the day before because Andrew's the one that booked him, which I've been saying from day one, but it's refreshing to kind of hear him acknowledge it without saying Ben's name. Take a listen.
So the day before, actually, I had booked an interview for him that he was not super pleased that I booked for him, but there was a good reason for doing it. But he was like, you know what, I'm tired now, and I want to focus on the tour tomorrow. So you're gonna guest host the show tomorrow. So I guest hosted the show that morning. It was, uneventful, and we had a pre-record for hour 2 actually. So it's probably too in the weeds, but he's texting me on his way, and he's going over talking points about polygamy because he's going to Utah, and why is monogamy important, and we're just rapid fire. These are our thoughts on why monogamy is advanced societal tech, and it directs
the killer app of Western civilization.
Exactly, yeah. It directs male energies in the right direction, societal building, all these things. And that was about, I think it was like 33 minutes before he was killed.
Exactly 33 minutes before he was killed. Not a minute over, not a minute after.
I mean, it was a big setup, wasn't it?
Anyway,
they know exact times and everything.
In the weeds, I'd like to get in the weeds. I like the weeds. I just want to get a weed whacker and go through them all, actually, because that's interesting. Because he's saying Charlie texted him. And Skylar, I know we scrubbed through. Did you hear? Was he discussing monogamy on that episode? We'll have to go through and double check. Maybe he was. He said Charlie is texting him notes, so I'm going to fact check that more for tomorrow's episode. But here is a still, so you can see that from the episode that he did actually end up hosting for Charlie. And I wouldn't have thought twice about this. I would have said, okay, great, he was live in this hour, were it not for the fact that we now know that Andrew Colvett is in the business of faking live shows in order to give himself an alibi. We learned this when I broke the story that Andrew visited the White House the day before the Epstein files were released, but he pretended that he was in Arizona live on the Charlie Kirk show interviewing Kash Patel. Kash Patel's all like, oh, I never do a live show. He's calling in live. And then all of a sudden, my sources at the White House are like, hey, Andrew's here. It's kind of weird, but he's playing his live on the show. He's here, and he's actually near Kash Patel's office. So Kash Patel's helping him in that scenario pretend that he's live. Like, okay. So I'm not saying that that's proof that he faked the live on September 10th. What I'm saying is I would like to confirm that he didn't. And that's fair. This is an investigation. I'd like to confirm that he didn't, and that was indeed a live show. Some other interesting things. So on this particular episode, he interviews Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley is an independent journalist. And I should say that this is a very big booking for Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley is just 23 years old, and at this moment when Andrew was interviewing him, it's before Nick goes mega viral, right? In the weeks afterward, he goes really viral for discovering fraud in Somalian daycares. You may have seen that story going around, and people were outraged about all of this fraud. So why exactly did Andrew book him and interview him? Well, Andrew is going to tell us why in the lead up to their interview. Take a listen.
I am so excited about this next guest. His name is Nick Shirley. He's an independent journalist. You can follow him on X at Nick Shirley. That's SHIRLEYY. Maybe we can help him get rid of that second Y. And then on YouTube at Nick Shirley as well. Nick, I saw your footage and I was blown away. And so just really quick, before we get into the footage, introduce yourself to the audience and what it is you do.
Yeah, my name's Nick Shirley. I'm an independent YouTube journalist, and I go all across the world, not just the United States, but all across the world, showing the realities of things as they really are, whether it had been the migrant crisis or the fentanyl crisis or asking people who they're voting for. I go to all the locations, or just doing ride-alongs with gangsters in Chicago as well.
Yeah. Okay, so this I saw it and I was like, this is like, it was some of the most incredible footage.
Okay, so he's blown away by what Nick does, and Nick has definitely accomplished some amazing things as a 23-year-old. He also claims that within 48 hours, he managed, among many other accomplishments, he infiltrated Rio, Brazil's most dangerous gang. I'm not kidding, he did this in just 48 hours. I'll let you listen to Nick explain it. Take a listen.
Through the course of 2 days, I was able to get access to one of Rio's largest gangs, Comando Vermelho, and befriend a few of their soldiers who are so dangerous they cannot even leave the favela. Lots of strange things happened to find myself on top of Brazil's largest favela in a destroyed house interviewing gang members of one of the largest gangs in Brazil.
Okay, I'm just going to say I don't believe that at all. I'm sorry. I just, it's so stupid. I'm not even going to tell you why I don't believe it. It's like if you don't know that that's stupid, that he infiltrated the gang in 48 hours. That's so dumb. I'm so tired of dumb. That's not how that works, okay? You don't just go up to gangs on the street as a nice-looking white boy with a camera and say, hey, I just wanted to sort of see what you're doing here. What's going on? Okay, just stop. That's stupid. Of course, that's dumb. I'm sorry, Nick. I know you're young. I hope, whoever is your contact that has you infiltrating Antifa and infiltrating El Salvador at the age of 23 years old, it just feels like Sean Penn young to me. Like, oh, Sean Penn's always there with the cartels, never gets hurt, always is a part of a movie. I don't like stupid. That did not happen, okay? That did not just happen. He didn't wander into a favela and meet up with gang members with a camera, and they were like, yeah, no, it's cool, come here, see what we're up to. Anyway, some other interesting facts about Nick Shirley is that he is also a member of the LDS Church, sometimes referred to as the Mormon Church. They say they don't use that term anymore, the LDS Church, and he also happens to be from Utah. So I thought, since I don't really care about what Nick does for a living or who his contacts are over in the government that clearly got him this access, I just want to confirm whether or not he did that show live, okay? So I reached out to him before this episode because it's very easy to get Nick on record saying, yes, I can confirm I did a live between the 9 a.m. And 10 a.m. Pacific hour on September 10th. That would be a solid confirmation that I could get in writing from Nick Shirley. So I'm pursuing that. I have not yet heard back from him. I sent it this morning, so it might take him some time to see my message on X. I think that is something we should be able to easily confirm, right? Right? That seems pretty fair. If you have any information regarding this, please email us at moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Anyway, I want to make sure that I also show you this updated list of all of the planes that we have been speaking about so that you can take a picture and examine them yourself. I like lists. I like things that are tidy. So these are the planes, and I'm kind of giving them names now. We've got that Y-Refi plane. That's what Erika said. She said that it was Y-Refi CEO. It could be Erika, Kirk, and Tyler Boyer. I will say this. I do believe Erika Kirk flew with Tyler Boyer. And another person told us Tyler Boyer was in earlier that day and had taken a meeting in Utah. But I have not been able to confirm that with a first-person account. But I find that interesting, and I do know Erika Kirk and Tyler were together. The second plane, actually, I guess I haven't named this. This is a very interesting plane. We actually should talk about this N40JD plane that gets into Utah. Again, all of this is adjusted for mountain time, okay? So we're in Utah time. It leaves an hour after Charlie gets shot from Scottsdale, and it lands into Provo. So that very much could be Erika. And why I like this as an option also for maybe Erika on this plane is that it's owned by a person named Jason Knupp, and it appears that that is the chief commander of the Naval Surface Force in Atlanta. So that's an interesting jet there that's owned by Jason Knupp. And yeah, I just want to put that out there. We don't know who the passengers are on that plane. I did not get names for that. We have obviously Charlie's plane. We have the alleged passengers. I don't buy that. I think it is way more likely that the messages reveal. We have enough evidence to at least suggest that Andrew Colvett flew on that plane alone, actually. And then that would mean that Erika landed, by the way, almost at the exact, if she's on, go back up, if she's on the Navy plane, that lands at 2:29. This one lands, that would still be an hour wait. But if she's on that first plane, go back up, if she's on the Y-Refi plane, or if, then she would have landed into Provo. Oh no, that one doesn't land in Provo, go down, I'm sorry. We'll get into that fourth plane. This is our Santa Barbara plane. This one is going to land into Provo at 4:36 p.m. Way too late. Andrew didn't scramble to get a jet for 3 hours. I don't buy that. It's common sense. I raced. Well, you didn't race if you sat in your house for 3 hours. Anybody can get you a plane faster than 3 hours, okay? This is California, okay? It's not like he's stranded on an island and where are we gonna find a plane? This is an extremely resourceful company. They have their own jets. Andrew did not wait for 3 hours, and then Erika then waited an additional hour for him to land. None of that makes sense on its face. I'm giving my opinion here on the basis of all of the evidence that we have now looked at. That is a highly unlikely scenario that he was on Barbara. I think his wife could have been on Barbara. And then what he said to me, of course, I want you to meet up, whatever. Then she comes in later. I should note, my goodness, something just came to me live. And I am more convinced that I am correct. Remember I told you that despite Erika having to have waited for that tarmac hug, when they went to the hospital, they went in two different directions, right? Andrew went to the front and Erika went through some private backdoor entrance. That was my understanding. I did not hear that Andrew was with his wife. Andrew's wife is missing. She had to have shown up later. The recall would have been Erika went to the back and Andrew was with his wife. I don't remember hearing that. I will double check that. But I remember hearing that Andrew just went into a separate entrance, which was weird. Why would you wait for an hour and then make him go through the front? Like, he was either so important that you needed him by your side that you waited for him and therefore you're both going to go through the back, or you didn't wait for him and you went through the back because you're his wife and your husband was just assassinated and you want to get there at your earliest possible convenience. Like, nothing they are saying makes any sense. Nothing they are saying makes any sense. Moving on, the Israel Firsters are still guns a-blazing for Joe Kent. They are peak psycho right now. I do want to show you, actually, and I'm going to skip the Trump clip, guys, because I just don't even care about Trump right now. He's so disgusting. Him trying to mock and be funny about Joe Kent's wife, who sacrificed her life for this country, being snotty, I guess, by saying, oh, he married pretty quickly. He married 5 years later. He remarried 5 years later. He had 2 young children. Anyway, but Blake Neff is trying to make hate happen toward Joe Kent. He wants to make that fetch towards Joe Kent because they're angry that we are crushing them with the truth. Now he's going to try to do this, and this clip that I'm going to show you from today is with the worst acting ever. I am talking, the Academy Award does not go to Blake Neff, okay? Background, Joe Kent was interviewed by Michael Schellenberger. Is that the right person? I hope I got that right. And basically, the interviewer asks him, like, hey, you're making statements that they did not thoroughly investigate this. There were leads that you wanted to pursue. And he asks him, do you recognize that by making those statements, that could potentially result in you being called to testify by, Tyler Robinson's defense team? They might call you and prod the narrative because they would say they didn't even investigate and pursue other leads. And of course, Joe Kent says, that wasn't my goal. My goal is just to tell the truth, but the truth holds everywhere. Yeah, I understand that could happen. He is saying the feds did not thoroughly investigate other leads because it's abundantly obvious and it's true. And so if they called you to testify, if they called me to testify in the defense, okay. Hey, Candace, did you hear that Erika? Yes, I did hear that. Hey, Candace, did you hear? Yes, I did hear that. The truth doesn't play offense or defense, it's just the truth. So Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett, worst actors ever, are about to try to sell to you with their absolute best emotion that, no, oh my God, if you were called to testify and tell the truth for the defense, you would betray Charlie. The truth would betray Charlie. Let's see if you can be convinced by their raw emotion in this clip. Blake is just unleashed. He lets his hair, he doesn't have a lot of hair, down in this clip. Take a listen.
Let's refresh people. There is a murder weapon that was found near the site of the shooting. It was owned by Tyler Robinson's family.
Given to him by his grandpa.
Of the caliber used to shoot Charlie. It has his DNA all over it.
All over the casings.
They release a photo of the shooter. They are not able to find him otherwise. Tyler Robinson's parents see that photo and think, that looks like Tyler. They begin asking him things like, where is your, I believe it was his grandfather's gun. Mm-hmm. They start asking him this. Tyler Robinson starts talking like he might kill himself. They get a friend of the family to sit down with him. He admits that it's him. They get him to drive up to Orem and turn himself in. His parents helped him turn him in. And we run into people who say that that didn't happen or that's fabricated.
There's digital confessions.
There's digital confessions, but also his parents are out there. They have never stepped forward and said this is a lie. They could easily do that. It would be trivial to do that if it was the case. They have not done that. Mm-hmm. His parents turned him in. That is the most obvious piece of evidence in the world that nothing can argue around. And some people are so obsessed with these same conspiracies that they concoct for every other thing that ever happens. And so they have to shove it into this one too, because they care more about their conspiracy theories than about the person who murdered my friend facing justice. I am fed up with it.
Here's why it's so frustrating is because there is going to be even more evidence that is presented to the public
facing justice. I am fed up with it.
Here's why it's so frustrating is because there is going to be even more evidence that is presented to the public in May at the evidentiary hearing, okay? And it's a mountain of evidence, some of which has been made public, some of which has not been made public yet. And the prosecution is going to lay out its case against Tyler Robinson. And I'm told it's a whopper. I'm told they've got this guy dead to rights. And meanwhile, you have government officials that are now saying on the record to journalists they are willing to testify on behalf of the defense.
Absolutely, Westman, because everything that they call a conspiracy theory will wind up being true.
And so the level of betrayal that I
from y'all
feel is dramatic.
The level of betrayal.
Excuse, pardon my French. They're just so full of shit, right? They're just like, it's like, they're not even good. They're not even good.
No, they really are not.
It's overwhelming. The evidence is so overwhelming that if Joe Kent tells the truth, it would be an act of betrayal. The whole case would fall apart. If he told the truth, if the defense called him and said, hey, did you feel it was thoroughly vetted? No, actually, I made recommendations and I was blocked. It would all fall apart. It would be an act of betrayal. It's so overwhelming. He hasn't even been arraigned yet. He hasn't even pled guilty. They keep telling us he confessed, but they lost the tape of when he turned himself in. Don't forget that. They're talking about that gun. The gun has his prints on it. The part they're not telling you is that they cannot prove that weapon was fired. They can't prove it was fired. The bomb dogs could not find the weapon. Okay, the bomb dogs knows themselves. They are a weapon, okay? They can't explain the magical bullet, what happened here. Can you connect the weapon to the non-existent bullet? But it has his prints on it. He touched this gun that the feds then pointed to where the bomb dogs failed and put some rookie cops and said, look over there. We didn't just drop that there. Oh, and sure, Tyler Robinson obviously must be he's clearly confessed to everything. That's why he's currently fighting and trying to get some of the prosecutors. He failed, but tried to get one of the prosecutors dropped. He has confessed his guilt. This brilliant guy then wrote the novel. He hasn't even been arraigned, and they're saying he's guilty. So they're saying there shouldn't even be a trial. He's so guilty. And the idea that anybody would tell the truth on the defense side, they're overwhelmed because the evidence is so overwhelming. It gets bigger every time they talk, by the way. Now it's a mountain of evidence. It's a mountain. So undeniable that if Joe Kent simply told the truth and said, yeah, I would have liked to investigate some other leads, and I was blocked from doing that, it would all fall apart, as mountains do. You know me, if you just go stand up next to a mountain and tell the truth, the whole thing will crumble in front of you. It'll be like Building 7. Just emotionally just collapse and probably have Israel behind it, truly. That's what I would say. Anyway, are you feeling overwhelmed? Because they keep saying the talking point, it's overwhelming, it's so overwhelming. We have the messages that sound like they were written by the feds. I am overwhelmed. I am so overwhelmed that we're gonna have to go to break because I just feel myself choking up with a lot of overwhelming mountains of overwhelming. We'll be right back. All right, you guys, have you ever tried keeping up with crypt? And Erika told me that she had no more evidence in the dimension that you heard about Cozy Earth right here. Experience the craft behind the comfort and make every day feel intentional. I hope everybody's okay. I know it was very overwhelming. It was just so much, and it's amazing because Andrew says, like, I'm told it's a cascade. It's a whopper. By the way, whopper is usually subbed for the word lie. And I do want to remind you that I met with Erika just a couple of months ago, and Erika told me that she had no more evidence than the public had. But now Andrew is giving us an update and saying now they since then they have found so much evidence, it's going to be crazy. And he's just emotional considering that Joe Kent, if he does get called by the defense, he would say this true sentence. And he was stopped from investigating foreign leads. And that would it would all crumble overnight. Top comments from the last episode is this is Elena, she writes, imagine being called a coward after you've been deployed 11 times, lost your wife to an IED explosion, spoke the truth while knowing you'd be attacked from every angle. We are ruled by degenerates. Yes, we are. We are ruled by degenerates. That is a very true statement. We are ruled by cowards. Absolute cowards. That's what they do. They're like catty and they call you names. That's what they're going to do. Oh, he's betraying Charlie by telling the truth. If you think telling the truth betrays Charlie, you were never a friend of his. You were never a friend of his. If anything I said on the show got called and pulled over from the defense, I would stand by every word that I said. Okay? Every single word, because it's true. I told the truth, and if I found out later that it was not correct, I did my best to correct everything that I've said. I've been open to dialogue. I said, come here, sit down with me. No, you want to, it's so overwhelming. Why don't you come sit down on my show, Blake? Come on, Blakey, come sit down. If it's just so abundantly true and obvious, why wouldn't you want to come make me look like a fool on my own show? Right? Why wouldn't you want the platform to be able to speak to everybody and to say, here it is, here's the evidence. I'll go back and forth with Candace, and we don't even have to wait for the case because I want you to know that everything she's selling she's just obsessed with the conspiracy. Come do that, Blake. Take me up on my offer, Blake. I don't understand why you wouldn't do this. You seem so stressed out. I don't know. I think am I wrong? If I had a position on something and I knew it wasn't true, I would go, yeah, I'd love to come on your show and explain how that's not true and you have it all wrong. Brie Blanco, second biggest comment, writes, how ironic that Andrew Colbert wants the FBI to investigate Joe Kent, but not to investigate Charlie Kirk's murder. Yeah, they love Cash Patel. Yeah, Cash Patel on the show. They don't care. You would think he'd be like,
okay, y'all, I gotta go. It's almost midnight.
That Cash Patel stopped Joe Kent.
We're at the end. She's reading the comments. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hopefully my system will be fixed.
Seems like he's an honest dude.
Goodbye.
Fake honest people drives them